Yo, first things first, I wanted to make this video over 20 days ago, but you know, things happened. Shows were ending, life was lifing. But it's time to talk about Pibby, because as of April 1st, 2023, it has been over a year since Adult Swim has last acknowledged the existence of Learning with Pibby. And with recent, kinda surprising announcements from Adult Swim, I have some thoughts on if the show will even come to fruition. Second, have you ever been in an accident? 'Cause it sucks. Especially the aftermath and getting an insurance claim. All the hassle of searching for a lawyer, spending hours in meetings, dealing with paperwork. Not exactly a fan of all of that. Thankfully, with Morgan & Morgan, submitting an injury claim is so easy. Morgan & Morgan has modernized the injury law process, so you can submit a claim and have it reviewed by a lawyer without ever having to leave the couch. You can sign documents, upload pictures, share medical records, and doctor bills, all from your phone. You can even text your attorney and case manager without the hassle of going into an office. Not to mention, you only pay if Morgan & Morgan wins your case. There's no upfront costs or sign-up fees. If you don't win, you pay nothing. It's free. Folks, when you're injured in an accident, hiring an attorney is one of the first things you should do. And submitting a claim is a breeze with Morgan & Morgan. More than 3 million people have trusted Morgan & Morgan when they were injured in an accident. You can submit a claim in 8 clicks or less, and you can have America's largest injury law firm fighting for you. You can get started at forthepeople.com/theroundtable or dial #law. That's pound 529 from your cell. Now, why is April 1st important? To take a quick trip down memory lane, the Pibby short that started it all debuted on Adult Swim in October of 2021 as a little Halloween treat, and it blew up the internet, now standing at a whopping 30 million views after almost 2 years. For comparison's sake, the oldest clips of the Smiling Friends pilot have over 3 and 4 million views after 3 years. And that show is huge now, but clearly, Pibby is something fierce. So on April 1st, 2022, Adult Swim decided to dedicate that year's April Fool's stunt to Pibby, with Pibby characters glitching in and out of various Adult Swim shows, with characters in those shows getting corrupted for a brief moment. Even the live-action shows weren't off the table. It was an engaging prank that had just the right amount of effort to be impressive. It somehow even got me excited to watch Bird Girl, an excitement that quickly faded. By the end of the night, Pibby was lost, wandering through the credits of Joe Pera, still searching for Bun Bun. An unsettling cliffhanger for fans who have become invested in the tale of this preschool character turned hardened warrior. And with the broadcast and highlights accumulating nearly 7 million and 5 million views, you'd think Adult Swim would take this as a sign to fast-track Pibby's development. Or if they were bold, announce a full season order right out of the gate. And maybe that would be asking for too much. If they didn't have Pibby-themed billboards around LA and Atlanta that stayed up way past April Fools. Just doesn't seem like something you would do for a one-off prank based off of a 30 million view short. But alas, Adult Swim hasn't said squat. Comic-Con passed. Perfect place to announce a full series order, but nothing. The anniversary of the Pibby short passed. Nothing. Just complete silence. Which brings us to April Fool's 2023. If there was going to be an update on Pibby, it'd probably be on the year to the day of the last time we saw the adorable little lad, right? Wrong. I tune into Adult Swim's April Fool's stunts every single year, and have since the big Tanami stunt back in 2012. And while every other prank tends to be a little lame, this year's was one of the worst ones yet. And it's entirely because it tricks you into watching the entire thing. That is 90% recycled content. And this time, their stream didn't even crack 700K. Serves them right. Honestly, 651,000 is a little too generous for the mind games they played. It's too much validation. My disappointment doesn't even have anything to do with Pibby. I'm chilling with the fact we didn't get any more of it, but it does rub salt in the wound. You see, this year's prank started out as AI running the network for a night, leading to a horrifying yet intriguing AI-generated episode of Smiling Friends. And if this was the prank for the whole night, I wouldn't have loved it, but I wouldn't have been mad either. A little on the nose, a little topical, a bit predictable, but that's okay. It's nightmarish enough to have a little splash of that Adult Swim flavor, you dig? After a literal minute of the AI gag, a black and white bumper apologizes for the disturbance, but before things can go back on track, they accidentally hit the fast forward button, giving us Adult Swim Fast Forward, which is the network fast forwarding through time, providing a glimpse at upcoming Adult Swim content. So now it's like that Post Malone preview night from 2020. You know, the April Fool's night that gave us the Smiling Friends pilot. Alright, AI be damned, let's go! I'm here for it! Now you may be thinking, what's really getting the ball rolling for the night? It was, Royal Crackers, the 370-second surreal animated sitcom that Adult Swim has put out over the years, and, you know, I'm sure there's an audience for this flavor of Adult Swim shows, but they really peaked at, like, Azzy McGee for me. I'm sorry guys, the gimmick just wore off in my opinion. But you know, 11 minutes of Royal Crackers is worth it for that brand new episode of the Eric Andre Show, baby! Oh, they only gave us 5 minutes. Only half the episode for a show that I actually want to see more of. Oh, now it's 5 minutes of teenage euthanasia. Again, I'm sure there's an audience for this. But you know what? Maybe this could lead to a sneak peek of some long-awaited shows like Unicorn, Uzumaki, or even the new Fooly Cooly anime. Or maybe even the stealth premiere of a show whose name rhymes with Libby. Or maybe even a peek at Smiling Friends Season 2. But no, 23 minutes into the shit show, we get Adult Swim Rewind. There's an entire hour and 10 minutes of this thing left. Now, I'm down for nostalgia, especially when it comes to Adult Swim's retro catalog. But at this point, people were getting impatient and wondered if it was going to switch back to fast forward mode, or if they were going to play some real gems that haven't been seen on the network in quite some time. But instead, the only show in the rewind section was Space Ghost, with the iconic episode Fire Ant in its full half-hour glory, which sees Space Ghost chase an ant for the latter half of the episode. Now look, Fire Ant's a banger, but this was a terrible idea for the lineup. This version of the episode has only aired like 3 times now, and because of how Adult Swim fumbled the night, a lot of people are just going to associate the episode with disappointment and annoyance. My roommate, who was waiting for something cool to happen and hasn't really watched Space Ghost before, tapped out at this point and just said, "This sucks." I was crushed, but I couldn't blame him because they dropped the ball. The rest of the night was Adult Swim Minus, which had infomercials, and then Adult Swim Trains, which had ambient swim. And those are nice, but there's nothing special about any of these. I can throw them on my TV at any time, thanks to their website, YouTube channel, and HBO Max. Now, I do own up to my disappointment being the byproduct of my own expectations, especially since I chose to keep watching, but can you blame me for deluding myself? When the night had a decent start and past pranks enticed viewers to watch the entire thing, they knew what they were doing. They knew they had an underwhelming April Fool's prank, and they still hyped it up with the stream's thumbnail. You're in for a tweet tonight, shut the fuck up! So where does this bring us with Pibby? This is where those recent developments at Adult Swim come into play. Of course, Adult Swim is owned by Warner Discovery, who has been going through some shit the past few years, leading to layoffs, cancellations, and write-offs everywhere. So we can assume less shows have been getting greenlit too. And as of last July, we actually learned through a video posted by Belsky that according to a relative of Pibby creator Dodge Greenlee, the show hadn't been greenlit at Adult Swim, and that 2024 would be our best chance. And if so much hadn't changed at Adult Swim over the last year, but especially the past few months, I would have been skeptical if Pibby even had a chance of getting picked up, despite its popularity. Everything it has going for it is also everything that goes against Adult Swim, at least the version of Adult Swim we had over the last few years. Instead of being a comedic parody that uses knockoffs of characters they own, it uses plenty of actual Cartoon Network and Hanna-Barbera characters in a gritty setting. And instead of being a surreal animated comedy, it seems to be more of a drama, with an overarching narrative. And all of this might be a tough sale, considering Cartoon Network and Adult Swim have been treated as separate entities, which is a far cry from their early days with shows like Space Ghost and C-Lab using pre-established characters in surreal adult scenarios. Hell, who could forget Harvey Birdman, attorney at law? Aside from me writing in this section, the early days even had Cartoon Network and Adult Swim sharing shows and running promos that explain the difference between TVY7 and TV14 shows that inadvertently kinda made the two seem way more unified. But over the years, Adult Swim really separated itself from Cartoon Network. even with shows like Bird Girl no longer featuring Hanna-Barbera characters, despite that being a huge part of the original Harvey Birdman Attorney-at-Law's appeal. Pibby is a show that champions unity between the two networks, so naturally, it's a direct contradiction to all of that. Or at least, it was. Because now, not only is Adult Swim and Cartoon Network ran by the same person, Michael O'Wheeling, but recently Adult Swim scooped up 2 shows that were supposed to go to Cartoon Network: Unicorn Warriors Eternal and My Adventures with Superman. Which is huge, because aside from these shows being intended for Cartoon Network, they're also both outside of the genres you'd expect from Adult Swim proper. They have action, drama, and an actual budget! I mean, Primal had all those things too, but it didn't get the red carpet treatment like Unicorn at least is. Seriously, they're already planning to rerun the show like crazy, including on Cartoon Network's Acme Night block, which recently aired Joe Pera, so hey, they're sharing shows both ways. Not only that, but Cartoon Network is accommodating a schedule so that there's an organic transition into Adult Swim, with an upcoming Friday night playing an hour of Adventure Time and an hour of Steven Universe right before Unicorn. This is the kind of lineup I dreamed about a few years ago, and now it's the real deal. Although, it's probably because Adult Swim is now starting at 7, taking another hour away from Cartoon Network, which honestly might be for the better. It shows that Adult Swim is willing to experiment and take on new things that would normally be outside of their brand, which is a great sign for a project as experimental as Pibby. Now that the floodgates have opened, we just have to show up and support these shows, with the same energy that we gave to Smiling Friends. Though that might be easier said than done, since most people prefer comedy out of their Western animation, not action, but come on! What's happening here is huge! Now, I do think it's important to acknowledge that although Adult Swim is airing these shows, they didn't fund them, which would be a big difference with Pibby. It's coming out of their own wallet. Now again, 30 million views should really be a testament that this show is worth pursuing all on its own, but with how ambitious Pibby is, I think they need to see that their audience wants more than just funny haha stoner comedy before forking over millions upon millions of dollars to make a season happen. Praise just won't be enough here. And after Tuca and Birdie met another unceremonious death due to corporate restructuring, and numbers probably not being as strong as they wanted to justify keeping it around, I really do hope more people show up for Unicorn and Superman. Will Pibby ever see the light of day? I think it's more likely now than it was last year. But let's be real, with a pre-existing fan base consisting of millions of people, not moving forward with the series would be one of the most idiotic moves Adult Swim could ever make, especially with the mixed reputation of their main cash cow, Rick and Morty. I do think 2024 would be the earliest we'd get a full season, but considering how Cartoon Network and Adult Swim tends to announce things eons before they premiere, that means we need to get an announcement for it sooner rather than later. But I hope this video helps shed some light on things and tell you something about Adult Swim that you didn't know before, alongside giving some kind of clarification on Pibby. It sucks to be left in the dark, but there could be a light at the end of this tunnel. As always though, these are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. What do you think? Are you frustrated that, as far as we know, Pibby hasn't been given the green light yet? What do you think of this year's April Fool's prank? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and keep the conversation going over at Roundtable Vids and at AllSharkVox on Twitter and Instagram. Special thanks to Janky Bones for another amazing thumbnail. Check out more of their work at BoneJanky on Twitter and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!